All right, what's up, guys? Jacoby back with you guys today with another interview. We got Jeff with us today. I wanted to bring Jeff on because Jeff is a legend. Okay, he's been crushing it. He's been in the closer cohort for a minute now. One of my first students actually. He's right now in Medellin, Colombia, calling in from the jungle. But yeah, Jeff, just introduce yourself a little bit. Kind of just give a little introduction about yourself, a little bit of your past experience in sales, getting into closer cohort, doing high ticket sales specifically, and then just about kind of your journey, and then everything, man. Just give us a little like couple minute recap of everything that up to
Yeah.
this point for you.
Yeah. No, so was in the Marine Corps from like 2016 to 2021. So I did sales a little bit before then, Grant Cardone and I'll followed those guys and got that like excitement there, but I never really understood it well. So when I got out of the Marine Corps, I went as a BDR for a couple of years. I was just, bouncing around to different companies. And I still like things just weren't like I just wasn't learning things properly. So I got to the point where I was at a decision making point of either going to a different industry or maybe take some coaching and start learning how to actually do things the right way. Because you can learn through doing yourself, but I think that you can like coaching is really a way to shorten the amount of time for you to be able to learn things.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people value that. But if you look at wealthier people do value coaching. If you listen to any like Tim Ferriss or any of these other guys that are like biohackers or just hackers in general, they always have someone who's helping them get to where they need to go.
Mm, mm.
So I listened to actually one of your podcasts with what was it, Cameron? You said?
Cameron, yeah, I think Cameron was one of
Yeah.
the
So I
first
listened.
ones
I
I
listened to
had.
the podcast, and there was a few things there that I was like, "Yep, this is the lifestyle that I'm looking for." Because it's like when you look for a mentor, you don't just look for somebody who can teach you the things. You're looking for somebody who can teach you, who has a similar vibe as you, who has a similar lifestyle as you. You listen to Alex Hormozy or a similar lifestyle you want. When I listen to Alex Hormozy, he always says, "Don't take advice from people whose lives you don't want."
Mm, mm.
Right? Like if you don't
Yeah.
want someone's life, or you see someone, from the sidelines just like saying some trash in your ear, it's like
Mm.
make sure that if it is constructive, make sure that you actually want their life. If it isn't, then don't listen.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
This is
You
the
want to learn from people
exact
that are doing what you
opposite
want
of
to
that.
do.
That this was like
Yeah.
I was listening to the podcast and I was like, yeah, man, this guy's traveling. This guy's independent. He's taking control of his life. It's nice to have a W-2. It's nice to have a base salary, but at the same time, there is something really beautiful and kind of um, what is it? Not tribal, but yeah, similar to uh, like gets you back to your roots as us as like cavemen or something, right? Of
Sure.
what
Sure.
sales
Sure.
is. It's like you eat
Yeah.
what you kill. And that is really the motivator, the driver that pushes you to actually do better. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I all of those things combined, I was like, you know what? I want to jump into and learn this. I had no clue what high ticket sales was at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But you taught me, and I trusted you, and I said, you know what, you just got to put in the work at this point. And
Mm, mm,
so
mm.
during the cohort first month, it was a little had to wipe off the cobwebs. I don't know. I think I was just like I just needed like a little bit of training just to get out of whatever like sales doom that I
You, Jeff,
had.
you had had some experience in sales, but the thing is, you had more like your SDR, your more corporate type of sales. So with high ticket sales being the way it is, it's a different type of sale. So you just need a little bit of adjustments here and there, and then you were able to get on you were able to get on an offer, and then you did a few different offers. The first, what were you revenue wise before joining the closer cohort, and then what were you your first month on your first offer? You told me how much you were making. I think it was the dating offer that you were on, but can you
Yeah, the
give us
dating
those
offer, that
numbers?
was like I think 7,400 or
Mhm.
71. I forget how much it was. It was around 7K, which was
7K.
great.
Yeah. That's good money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
remote, right?
100%. Yeah. And
Cool.
then before it was around like 50. 50 grand a year.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I don't know what that is broken up, but
Got you.
but yeah,
Got you.
so it was definitely a move up, which
Uh-huh.
was great.
What
And
were your Jeff, what were your goals before joining Closer Cohort, okay, and coming and seeing me? Like what were your goals? And what was some of the things that were blocking you from achieving those?
yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just being able to sell was the main goal, right? Just being able to connect with people at a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of a deeper level, and also to be able to persuade, right? So you got to be able to connect to have that vibe, to trust them, but then you
Mm-hmm.
also have to be able to know how to guide them properly. So once they
Sure.
trust you, trust your vibe a little bit, then it's like, okay, how do I actually push them to understand that this is something that's going to help them?
Mm.
And so that's or it isn't. On the off chance that it isn't, you have to understand that too. But that's really it was just like being able to understand, okay, how do I get them to realize this themselves instead of me telling them? Because that's a
Mm.
lot of what I did sales before was hope for the best, ask questions, hope for the best, tell them what I saw.
Mm.
Versus now it's more take a step back, understand where,
Consultative approach, the consultative
yeah,
approach, correct?
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hear where
Yeah.
they're at, understand them, and then ask them questions to get them to understand. Um, and it's funny because there's like laydowns in sales too. Like they happen, and a lot of the things, if you listen to your calls when you have laydowns, your prospect will tell you the mindset that like they're telling you the questions you should be asking them, but you're just not asking them. They're just like kind of answering those questions. But if you want to reverse engineer that, you can actually do it. That was actually one of my first sales at the dating offer. And she was just like, yeah, if I don't do this, then I'll just be in the same situation in a year and, and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is gold. I can just use
Mm.
this. And that helped me understand it even more as well because she was doing that to herself, but that's actually our job is to do
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
too.
What do you want them what do you want them to tell you and then reverse engineer it, work backwards? What questions do I need to ask? What would I want to tell them? What would I want to just shake their head and tell them like you need this so badly? Okay, what would I want to tell them? And then how do I get them to actually say that rather than myself saying that by asking them questions to guide them right to the close. All right.
Yeah.
So that's great, bro. That's great. And had you tried any other kind of like mentorships or programs or anything in the past before, finding me and going through the closer cohort?
I did. So I did Grant Cardone stuff back in 2015,
Okay.
2014, 2015.
Mhm.
But before that, like just some YouTube stuff.
Okay,
Just
okay. Did
just
those get you to kind of what you wanted? You had your certain goals. Did those get you to where you wanted, or what was maybe not the best with what you did with Grant Cardone?
so Grant Cardone stuff it was just like video modules, which wasn't really that helpful.
Okay.
Um, because it didn't like it gave you some good foundation in terms of being able to understand, okay, what do I say here, or what's the best way to approach cold calls or whatever I was doing at the time.
Hmm.
But it's not like a live, like you get your questions answered in the cohort, multiple times a week type thing, like we're doing
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
That's really where I think it's like you need to get that feedback for your specific situation
Got you. Got you.
because
So it's more of just
if you
just some
don't,
some
like
course content without the coaching.
exactly. Yeah. There's that
Okay.
stuff. And then I mean, some of the YouTube stuff can help a little bit. It gets you into the right area. But it's like if you really want to have the precision of a top tier salesperson at a top tier closer, you need to hit that next level stuff. And that's where you need the feedback.
Got you. Got you. And Jeff, what was it? What was it ultimately that attracted you to me and my program?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was just the vibe, honestly. Right? Like I could tell that
The vibe.
you were a truthful person, but also just like in the way that you um, looked at the world and treated the world, and also had this independence about yourself. This like not even it was an independence, but it was just like I don't care attitude. I'm gonna get what I want, right? And it was
Yeah.
that I was just like, yeah, I love this. This is the type of energy that you want in a mentor. You
Mm.
want somebody
Mm.
who's going to be adventurous and look at the world with like I mean, I guess an eye of adventure, of like looking for like finding excitement even in the things that aren't that exciting, according to normal people. Which, by the way, like a couple of months later, we ended up, or a little bit more, like 6 months later, we ended up going to Bali together.
We did. We
And
had
I
a good
got to
time.
see that firsthand,
Yeah.
right? Where you, I mean, you can go anywhere, and I've gone on different vacations, but that wasn't even a vacation because we were working, right? But
Mhm.
it seemed like a vacation to me,
Yeah.
because we were actually just enjoying life, being able to enjoy talking to locals and just being able to make the adventure that life is. And
Yeah.
that was really one of the things as well that drew me to you. And then when we were all hanging out with the cohort boys out there in Bali, that was something that really like rang true. Like, yeah, this guy practices what he preaches, and he is who he says he is.
That's sick. That was a fun couple months we had, man. I remember I invited you super last minute and you weren't gonna come, and then I said, just come, bro, just do it. We're gonna have fun.
I
We're gonna
know,
have
I
fun.
know.
We
That
had,
was
bro, we
a
had great
that was a
memories in
close
Bali.
one.
That was fun, bro. We had a good time. But what was it, bro, ultimately that like, pushed you over the edge to jump in and do this? Because I know, bro, you're one of my first students, right? Like I didn't have a ton of content, or I wasn't speaking a ton about sales. There was just that one podcast you saw from me. But what was it when we got on a call and you first spoke to me? What was it like the catalyst that actually where you're like, you know what, I need to do this. Like this is something I really want to do.
Yeah, so the thing is, I knew I wanted coaching very, very badly, right? I knew that, like, I had tried YouTube, I had tried all this other stuff, I tried it on my own, it didn't work.
Mm,
So I'm like, I'm going to join a course. It just depends on which course. And it was you and Cole Gordon's course I was taking a look at.
mm,
But I heard your podcast and I was just like, I just I trust my gut feeling is telling me to go with Jacoby's stuff. And
got you.
I joined, and it was like it was a one call close for you, actually.
Yeah.
I
No,
remember because I
you were
was
lay
like,
down. Easy close.
I was, but I was gonna not be, because I was like, yeah, let's do it, and I'm like, oh, my card is declining. I gotta call the bank. I'll call you later. I tried to like push things off. You're like, no, it's all
Yeah.
right. I got time. And
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
just chilling there with your spring water. What's that, like, green spring water that we have
Yeah.
in the US?
Mountain Valley. I had my Mountain Valley
Yeah,
spring
yeah, you're
water.
just chilling with your Mountain Valley,
I think
just
I was just
like
at a
sipping
hotel, just
on the
chilling. I was
bank.
like, "Yeah, bro, it's fine. Do your thing." I had long hair too. I
Yeah,
guys
you
had
did.
very long hair. I was like just chilling. I used to rip
But
calls from the hotel lobby. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, that, like, I knew I had to do something. So at least I was sold on that area. It
Mm,
was just like, what am I going to go with? And I just, like, a big thing about my last few years is just like trusting your gut.
mm,
And
mm.
that's really what pushed me, is just like, it wasn't anything you said in specifically. I think you say this a lot. People aren't going to remember what you say. They're gonna remember how you made them feel. And so that's I was like, yeah, I feel like I can trust this guy. I feel
Mm,
like he lives a truthful life, a good life. He's a good man. Like, he's going to be a good mentor, and that's what
mm, mm.
that's did it.
That's what it's about, man. That's good. That's good. Amazing, bro. That's awesome. You start working with me. You start. You join the cohort, right? A couple other guys in the initial cohort, right? You start taking the steps, right, towards high ticket sales, towards becoming a closer. What was the first thing that we did? Like, what was the first thing we did? Walk me through that, and like, how did you find those first few action steps?
So first thing I did, in what regard? Like, to
Once
get
you
things.
joined, like from the moment you joined, what were the first couple things that you did
Yeah.
in the
Yeah, I mean,
cohort,
number
and how did
one,
you find those first few things? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, number one, we were just jumping on mock calls, which I think are huge, right? Because, yeah, it's important to be in the classroom environment and to learn, but at the same time, you have to put it into practical application, and you have
Mm,
to do it. So,
sure.
well, did a bunch of mock calls with the guys. Once we were ready, then we started learning. Well, we learned about it already, but we started actually doing outbound outreach,
Mm.
which is really big if you want to connect with the right influencers, and
Build a network,
right.
right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You got to build that network, and you also got to understand, okay, how do I write out how do I send outbound messages to these individuals that's in a way that's smooth and that isn't too try hard and isn't too like, oh, I love your content, like, fanboying or whatever.
Yeah.
You just want to make sure that you're just like you're chill, just like on a call. You're
Mm-hmm.
not too excited, but you also are respectful and you're holding some frame. But yeah, so that's kind of the stuff that we were learning at the beginning, and then just implementing, and then you just find an offer, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. And
And
what
there
were
was
some of the
also
what were
like
some yeah, go ahead.
in the mock calls, there was also like objection handling, and we would listen to our mock calls and go through them and see how we could do it better. We would do like popcorn at some point too, where we just like
Hmm.
kind of jump from like each student to each student, just like what would you say in this situation to keep us sharp as a tack.
Yep, it's all about being, obviously the live skill of sales, right? There was, obviously some mindset stuff you guys had to do as well, and the fast, right? I don't remember doing the
Oh yeah,
fast. We
yeah, yeah,
went
I
through.
forgot that. Yeah, the
Yep,
mindset
yep,
stuff
the
was
fast.
huge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. We did our
The
magnum
biggest thing is
opus.
the magnum opus, right? What's your master vision, your life work, right? So all these things that come into the play of being a good closer. It's not just obviously the skill of sales, which is a big part of it, but having the right mindset, right, is huge. So going through that whole process, right? And then what was the next thing that we did after you did your mock calls and you started reaching out and getting our offer? What were some of the things that I did to help you specifically going through the weekly coachings? What was something that stood out to you that you remember of how I was able to help you?
I mean, just picking a good offer too. That was the biggest thing for me. Give me 1 second. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, just picking a good offer is huge because I didn't know the space that well. I was like, I don't know if this person's, if this is a good influencer, if this is not. What's then you provided us with all of the questions that we needed to be able to, number one, pick a good offer at the onset, but also if we had multiple offers that were interested in us, hey, how do I go through and make sure that I'm showing myself as the best, right? How do I do the best in the interviews? And
Mm.
then if I get two or more offers, which I did, how do I pick one, right? Like what is like which one should I pick? Which one's the more legit? All this stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that's fire, bro. That's fire. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into it, right? When we're doing it for the first time, and then also understanding the entire, landscape of the info product space, internet marketing space, the funnels, all that, how it all works. But yeah, getting cracked at sales, and then getting you on a good offer. Introducing you with the right people to get you, making some coin, right? What was the most helpful part of the entire process, the entire 8 weeks, right? It was an 8 week, program. What was the entire process? But what was the like most helpful thing that if one thing over everything stood out to you? What was the one thing that stood out to you about just working with me in general? It doesn't have to necessarily be sales, but anything from the time you met me to now. What was one thing that like stood out to you, brother, that I was able to help you with?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like chill, right? Like the idea to
Yeah.
relax and to just not to like to that perspective of, hey, relax, it's going to be fine. Don't hold on to wanting the sale. Don't hold on to wanting any of these things. Just be relaxed, make them comfortable, and just make sure that you get them to go on this journey with you. And
Mm-hmm.
that's really it. Because every time like I would start a call, especially on the dating offer, it was stressful at first for sure. Because like I'm starting this thing, it's commission only. The first time I'm doing it, I'm just like, what's like it's definitely a different feeling. And I was like, just embody what Jacoby does on his calls and everything that he's taught you, which is just relax and just don't mess it up, which is easier said than done at times, but at the same time, like once you have enough training in, like, yeah, just don't mess it up, man. Just
Just
ask the
don't
right
say anything to
questions.
mess it up, right? They already want to buy from you. Just don't say anything to mess it up, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, very easy,
That's
simple,
that's what I
simple.
would
Just
say.
follow the flow, follow the flow. All right. That's good, Jeff. That's good. What was What stopped you from doing this by yourself? I know you said you'd done some free YouTube stuff and you looked at doing some stuff, but what stopped you from doing this by yourself and making you want to actually invest into a mentor and go through a program like Closer Cohort?
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't want to waste time. That was it. I didn't want to like hit my head against the wall, not know where to turn, make the wrong move for a few weeks or a few months, or longer, right? Yeah, I
Mm,
mean, if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know where you're going. Try to drive a car with like a blindfold, and I guess it's not a full-on blindfold, right? But like, yeah, try to drive a car with really like dark sunglasses at night. It's doable, but it's just like I'd rather just like play it a little bit more on easy mode so that I can learn the stuff and then actually implement it
mm,
and then
mm,
go out into the world. And
mm.
that's really what it was for me.
Got you, got you. So more like a fast track. I got you, bro. Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. What was Jeff? What was something that surprised you about working with me? Like maybe something that was unexpected, high ticket sales, whatever. Maybe it was, yeah, whatever. Something that surprised you about this whole journey for you.
I mean, I never thought that we would go to Bali. I never thought we'd be going like because I mean I loved your lifestyle and I think that the traveling lifestyle was cool. I never planned on doing it actually. I was like, that's cool. I mean, I just want to make online money and just enjoy my life, in San Diego and chill out.
And where are you
Um,
now?
Colombia.
You're in Colombia, bro. So you're on it, bro.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
yeah,
It's just like yeah, I don't like I think there's a time to travel and there's also a time to lock in and I'm locking in here anyways. But it is nice to be able to explore these new parts of the world that you've never seen and get new perspectives.
mm,
And that's something that really I was just like I probably won't do that, but I love that they're doing that,
hmm,
right? And I love that people want to do that in the space, but that's not going to be me. And then it ended up being me a little bit.
mm,
I don't think I'm going to be traveling like all the time now, but
mm.
still, it is good to go out in different places and to be able to see different perspectives and to just go out into the world and like realize that like like you need to protect yourself too. Right? We went to Bali,
Mm.
we had no idea. We didn't. I mean, we had each other, which was huge. I don't have anybody here, right? Or I didn't until I found some friends, right?
Yeah,
And like,
yeah,
but at the end of the day, it's like being able to go out there and see that perspective and see how you treat yourself as you go into this
yeah.
environment.
It's self-discovery, man. Yeah, and
Exactly.
it's an option. It's an option that you can do. And did you have that option at your former gig that you're doing before? Would you have been able to just travel for a couple months somewhere?
No, no.
No. All right.
It's
So
it's very difficult because yeah, time zones are big, and also a lot of them want you to stay in the U.S., which is the biggest
yeah, yeah.
thing
So
there.
that's something amazing about high ticket sales, right? I always tell our guys like it's you can travel if you want. You have the freedom. You have location freedom. You have time freedom. You have financial freedom. So you can really do whatever you want, right? You can stay in your crib and wherever you are, and you can keep working there and just have the freedom to block a day off when you do, or you can travel like Jeff is in Colombia, or how I am now, right in Cape Town, South Africa, right now, right? Jeff, just two more questions for you, bro, and we'll be done. But what would you say the main difference was between me, okay, and working with Closer Cohort and going through obviously the learning high ticket sales and going through this whole journey, and maybe other solutions that you were looking at in the market? I know you mentioned before, Grant Cardone and his stuff, but like other things you maybe researched. What do you feel was the main difference going through my stuff?
Yeah, it was you and Cole Gordon that I went to. I followed some of the other guys too, but I just never got to the final deciding stage there. The thing about you, Jay, is like I think it's important to have somebody who can actually answer your questions, and you have the mentor who's accessible to you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have no doubt that Cole Gordon's program is fine. Right? It's not like it doesn't do what it says, but I wanted more attention. I wanted to be able to learn and to have access to you and Jesse as it became as he became a coach as well, right? So that was really the driving factor for me is like I want to be able to come to the to the actual mentor and not just like one of his students who I don't know and I don't know how good of a job they do.
Yeah, sure, sure, sure. Obviously, smaller circles allows that, right? You were able to call me, text me whenever you needed something. Um, so that was great, right? What last question I have for you, bro? Actually, yeah, I'm gonna ask you. Yeah, one more question is, Jeff, if someone was on the fence about joining Closer Cohort, or they're not really sure if they've heard about high ticket sales, but they don't really know what this stuff is. Do they want to make some of their own money, but they're not really sure, and they're on the fence, maybe wanting to join Closer Cohort or learning high ticket sales just in general? What would you tell them, bro? What kind of motivation or what would you tell them um,
Yeah.
if they're kind of on the fence?
I'd have them watch a video. And I don't know if you've heard about this one. You probably heard about it, Jay. Basically, it's this guy who like videotapes his normal ass life. And
Okay,
he's
yeah.
just like, yep, this is me waking up in the morning, getting Dunkin' Donuts. This is me at my cubicle. This is me, walking my dog. And it's just literally like the most depressing stuff you've ever seen because it's just a normal ass life. And that's kind of how I would compare it because, you know, you can go and work a normal job, and that can be fine. But at the same time, like this is an opportunity for you to actually like take control of your life, of your destiny, so to speak. Sales is, the reason why people are interested in sales and the reason why this space is getting bigger and bigger is because people want to take control of their lives. They want autonomy. They don't want to like they're okay with, working in an organization, but they don't want a boss. And that's what this provides. It provides you, more like a colleague that you work with and you figure out, okay, hey, I get a good skill. The more skills that you build, the more you are wanted in the marketplace. And that's really
Mm-hmm.
where where you can shine as a closer. Because I mean, if you take the trajectory of, not taking control of your life and just, living the normal stuff, you can find some joy in that, I'm sure. But it's like we are all meant to create. We are all meant to break out of our shell, break out of who we think we are. And this is really an opportunity to be on that journey.
Yeah, that's sick, bro. That's sick. That's sick. That's sick. What can you describe real quick? I know one last like little question for you, bros. Can you describe real quick, kind of like how does it work, man, as a closer? Like briefly, like obviously people investing in a mentor, just so people kind of understand like the commission structure and stuff. You mentioned eat what you kill. Can you just describe that real quick, just in like a minute?
Yeah, I mean, basically you're selling, typically higher ticket stuff. You can do a little bit lower ticket, but it's at least like 2 grand minimum, if not more like 5 to 10 grand. You're selling, and then you get about 10% of that. So if you're selling something for 10 grand, you get $1,000 for every sale. And then that typically gets paid to you at the end of the month or at the end of the 2 weeks that you've worked. And then you just jump on meetings. So sometimes you're jumping on meetings. It depends on what agreement you have with the organization and your boss. I say boss a little loosely because it's just like you really make your own schedule. They're much more flexible than when you're in corporate or anything else. And so you just create your own schedule and then you take calls and then you close some of them and others you don't close and you do follow-ups with them and you give them a call back and you try to like redo the whole entire sales process there. And then at the end of the month, you're making money.
Pretty chill. Pretty chill. Yeah, easy, easy,
So
easy. I like it,
you're
Jeff. Yeah.
able and you're able to travel and you can also like I'm doing right now like because I traveled with you in Bali, I kind of know what the do is. I know, hey, get the app that gets you places. There's always a cheaper Uber everywhere in every country. There's
Mm-hmm.
always an app that brings you food. So it's
Mm.
like Uber Eats on steroids because it's like half the price.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
So, yeah,
more actually. Last time I
yeah.
ordered Uber Eats, it was like $50 for Denny's, dude. Like out of
Got it, bro. In
control.
the States, Uber Eats is way too expensive. Yeah, Uber Eats is
Yeah.
way too expensive.
Yeah, so you just you can get somewhere and lock in very, very quickly. And you get to enjoy that different experience and you get to experience yourself differently too. So
That's sick, bro. That's sick. Amazing, bro. Appreciate you, Jeff. Appreciate you. Is there any last words, any last piece of advice you want to give to maybe yourself a year and a half ago, or anyone that's watching this that's thinking about doing this? Anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I mean, I would say when you make this decision, just make sure to give it your all because the decision's important, but the actions behind it are even more important. And it's just that consistency. Consistency isn't, a full cup every single day. Consistency is, a full cup today, a halfway cup tomorrow, a little bit the next day, a full cup the next day. It's just showing up and making sure that you're putting in as much effort as you can. And that's what I
That's
would
fine.
do because this space has the opportunity to change the trajectory of your life. How fast that happens is up to you.
Mm, mm. That's good, bro. That's fire. That's fire. Cool, bro. Jeff, I appreciate you so much, man. I really appreciate it. I think this is gonna help a lot of people. Yeah, that's all. That's all we got for today. So we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.
Now,